Hey, welcome back to the Tony Kinnett cast here on 93 WIBC. Well, CNN, with its myriad of problems, isn't only keeping those related to the debate this week and other political bias shenanigans, because they also may have a very, very massive defamation suit on their hands that is going to cost them potentially buku bucks. I mean, wow, ka-ching, I guess, would be the way to say that quite clearly. Joining us is Nick Fondacaro. He's over at the Media Research Center as well as Newsbusters. Nick, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Tony.
So you broke this story this morning at 6 a.m. It was one of the things that I actually got out of bed to. It was the first story I saw drinking my coffee. Give us a little bit of an idea. What's this whole defamation suit business?
So basically what happened, there is a security contractor named Zachary Young. He was working and helping get people out of Afghanistan after the collapse, a few months after. He basically was helping corporately sponsored Afghans get out of the country. So basically his clients included Audible and Bloomberg News. So one of CNN's industry peers. And basically CNN saw that he was doing this he was asking for some money for this, but basically it was corporate sponsors. The corporations were paying it. And they sort of were sort of saying that he was running like this black market, charging exorbitant fees and basically exploiting these helpless Afghans, even though his services were for the corporate side, as opposed to that there were nonprofits helping average Afghans, our normal allies, interpreters, get out of the country. So they saw that and they did not like that.
So Young is taking significant risk, right? He's not a big nonprofit infrastructure. Mm-hmm. He's running a very specific business. He has corporate clients. And because of the significant risk, he's charging a fee. Again, this isn't like going up to, the only example that can come to my mind at the moment is from the awful Star Wars show Kenobi, where they're going up and it's not like some scam artist, trying to get money out of a mom and her kids. These are corporate clients with corporate interests. But CNN, the stuff that they say about this guy is nuts. And that's where the defamation suit comes into play, because defamation, you don't just have to, prove that there was some information that was said that was incorrect. You also have to prove that it was done with malicious intent. And that's usually a really high bar to reach. I mean, you and I work in the media, the journalism field. You and I know how heavy this is. Help our listeners understand what's at stake in a defamation suit like this.
So basically, in a defamation suit, they need to prove actual malice and express malice. And basically, they were able to get that through these CNN emails that they were able to uncover through discovery, where they use very profane language. We're going to nail this, Zachary Young, MF, the rest of it. One of their editors is like, this guy is an S word. And when they gave basically Zachary 2 hours to respond to their story. And when he finally responded, because there's a time zone difference here, because he was over there and CNN was Alex Marquardt, the reporter, was over here. When Zachary finally got in contact, it's like he texted one of his editors, effing Young just texted. And they still ran the story 2 hours later. And basically Zachary was saying 2 hours was not enough. And it's those internal emails plus CNN's behavior that is leading to this, open them up to punitive damages now.
Now, you're an associate editor over at the Media Research Center and as well over at Newsbusters. I'm over at the Daily Signal and here at 93 WIBC. I have editors. You are an editor. I cannot imagine what Ken McIntyre or Brian Gottstein would do to me if I gave someone 2 hours to respond to a story. I would be strung up from the outside of the Heritage Foundation, dangling from the flagpole. You don't do that. And that's malicious enough. That's enough, at least our legal team tells us as such. That's enough to say, look, you were out to get this guy. But here's the catch, that Alex Marquardt, the primary reporter, said that he thought this story would be Young's, quote, funeral, end quote. That shows that you were going after this guy's entire career and livelihood. And that is a serious nail in the coffin, no pun intended, when it comes to a defamation case like this.
Yeah, the full part of that quote was he was talking to his editor about Young, and he tells his editor, "It's your funeral, bucko." So, and the editor that he was talking to with that responded with, "I'll hold you to that, cowboy." So it's this very gung-ho attitude about, and very much gung-ho attitude And I believe the judges that ruled on it and allowed for the on appeal allowed for the punitive damages says they call this journalistic bravado was what CNN was putting off with this, and or that was like sort of CNN's non-official wording for what it was that they were expressing.
It's incredible when you get into some of these cases like this, how deeply right off the bat, before there's even confirmation of a story, there's so much research that goes into things. We double check stuff. We triple check stuff. We get statements. We go to officials. We look in the back doors of stuff. We file a FOIA. You and I, as well as other of our colleagues out there in the business, we do our due diligence. Because if you and I don't do our due diligence, it's our heads and it's our career. Mm-hmm. But CNN, in this case, if these claims are true, if all of this comes through in court, this is beyond egregious what they're doing. And organizations like this have been getting away with this kind of hackneyed journalism for years, if not decades at this point. And I don't know, I got to tell you, like the Nicholas Sandmann case, I'm looking forward to hopefully a little bit of justice in this particular instance.
And unlike the Sandmann case, I spoke with Val Friedman, Mr. Young's lawyer, and he basically said they're ready for trial. There's no way that this is going to stop before trial. There's no active talks of settlement right now. They're very much looking forward to getting this into trial and getting this before a jury.
Nick Fondacaro, you can find him over on X at Nick Fondacaro. He's the associate editor for the Media Research Center as well as Newsbusters, kind of wrapping this thing through. Obviously, it's a chaotic week for CNN because of the presidential debates, because of things that are being exposed, because the network's ratings are in trouble as it is. You have here at the end of the piece, and I read your pieces fairly carefully. Excuse me, not the right before a video of Tapper kind of introducing the story. You say that CNN could be facing upwards of $1 billion, with a B as in Bravo, $1 billion in total damages, whereas Fox News, for defaming, in that case for Dominion Voting Systems, they only paid $787 million. This could be the new kingpin of media defamation suits.
Yeah, so basically what this comes down to is that depending on what a jury decides, so a jury would need to determine what what values are. So basically in economic damages, emotional damages, and punitive damages, that's the big one.
Right.
So basically between those different types of damages added up, so he's about, I believe it's about 40 to 60 million over the course of his career, because he is a security contractor and nobody wants to work with him now because he's been outed with all these bad things. His face has been plastered all over the place. He's out upwards of 60 million is what their expert witness has testified on their behalf or filed in their briefings on their behalf.
Right.
And then the emotional damages can be upwards of 60 million, include those plus the emotional can be upwards of 60, a little bit, or 600 million, even more. And then the punitive, because they were able to prove, or the judge says they're able to prove actual, expressed, and their conduct was outrageous to reasonable people, it has removed the cap on punitive damages in Florida.
That's the key. That's the key, that it was so outrageous that they went after this guy with again, as it stated, such malice, such venom, you might say, that they've taken the cap off of the punitive damages in this particular case. Nick Fondacaro from Media Research Center as well as Newsbusters, thanks for coming on. Really excellent work on this story. Stellar stuff, dude.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. We'll be back in just a second. Don't go anywhere. This is the Tony Kinnett Cast here on 93 WIBC.